I didn't know you were hopping on office hours.
Yeah, I got done early, so got a few more things to do. But
No Scott call today?
I just got done with Scott. Giothe canceled because I'm meeting her husband tomorrow with
Yeah.
Bo.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Hey guys.
so yeah.
Hey, Flora, how you doing?
Good, good. I just talked to Paul this morning.
You're sick of him. I talked to him too.
I mean, Paul is getting away next week, so I might not get as bored with him.
Yeah, I know he's slacking next week. He's gonna actually go celebrate his birthday. Can you believe it? Can you believe he's 27 years old?
What's your plan there, Paul?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Is your fiance gonna surprise you with something?
I hope not.
I hope she does.
I heard her and Lauren have been talking, so that's scary.
Yeah, that's either going to be great for you or terrible for you. So I want you to know, Flora, he's actually planning here a wedding as well. So this weekend he's going down to do his like wedding consultation to get ready and meet with all the planners.
Where are you getting married, Paul?
Well,
What the heck?
I mean, like,
where do you think?
like, why is there consultation? Wouldn't it just be all covered, you know?
So why is there a consultation, Paul?
Yeah.
because the wedding's not about me, number one. Number two, you know, you got to get your food caterers and your photographers, and you know, you got to look at the sites and so forth. And you know, but what Nick's not telling you, what the best part is that Nick gets to marry my fiance and I.
We have gathered here today.
There you go. You've been practicing.
Yeah, I'm so ready for this. Yeah, I'm so ready.
Oh, that's
Oh.
incredible.
Hey,
What was that? What was that, Flora?
I think I lost something.
So we were planning Paul's wedding. He's actually getting married at the Wilds here in, what is that, like
November.
6 months, 7 months?
6 months. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah, he outkicked his coverage.
How do you want to get ready for it, Paul? Do you want to, let's say, be more handsome for the wedding?
Whoa. Does it get more handsome than this?
I mean,
Just needs to shave. That's it. That's it.
Well, unfortunately, that's one of the stipulations. The beard's got to stay. So.
I like it whenever Paul shaves. He looks like 5 years younger, I would say.
I can totally imagine.
He gets that baby face whenever he shaves. Yeah. But yeah, what's going on in your guys' world? I know what Brooks wants to ask about. He wants to ask when Paul's going to go walk that Forest Manor property. But what's going on with the rest of you guys?
No, Forest. We keep mixing up Forest and Forest Manor.
All right. Forest, the one that we reviewed this morning, is the one
Yeah.
we were talking about, the one that we had $100,000 rehab on.
Yeah.
Not the Lebanon property. The other one.
No, the Forest Manor one's the 218 one.
Yeah. That's the one where you're going to add an extra bedroom and bathroom for us, Paul.
Nice.
Yeah. So lots of fun stuff. So guys, I really want to actually just kind of shout out for a second. Brooks is one of our deal sources. We've done a couple of deals with him. And you're in a lot of these cases, deals don't make sense as they're currently constructed. And so we looked at this deal that Brooks sent us, and he had it under contract for 81. So he wanted to make a couple bucks on it for all the marketing and stuff to get it. So he was going to try and sell it to us at 86. And it was a 2-1 in 46218, which, Amelia, you know how I feel about 46218. And
Not that one. Not that one.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless, whatever zip code it was in. Yeah, whatever. I like to trash on Mila whenever I see her about 46218.
I'm fine about teasing me. Yeah, that's fine.
So regardless, it was a 2-1. And at a 2-1, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. But, again, we looked at the square footage. We saw that there was an opportunity to potentially add an extra bathroom, add an extra bedroom. And so if we did that, it took the ARV from like 175 up to right around 250. So makes it make a lot of sense for us if even potentially a little bit higher. We're being conservative with our 250 number. And so you gotta get creative with it, gotta find opportunities to add incremental bedrooms, bathrooms to find that value add. And so yeah, that we'll post that one here, I think maybe on Monday or Tuesday, that deal analysis. Once I know how it falls out, I got to be careful posting deals to you guys because you guys are all going to try and swoop our deals if I post them same day. So I put a couple day delay on when I do the deal or no deal.
Nick, I think not a lot of investors want to spend 100K rehab like that.
I don't
So-
want to spend $100,000 of rehab.
You do,
if
and Paul can make it. He can say, I can add extra value. Let's add 3 more bedrooms, 3 more bathrooms, and let's add this gorgeous countertops on that. Let's make window here, and then the budget is going to be 150. So not a lot of people like that. Me being cheap, saying, oh, I want to buy turnkey more, not to deal with this. So don't worry.
So most of the people in my world don't want turnkeys, but like all of you guys within the coaching program, you tend to all want the lipstick on a pig type of deals. You guys want hey, I want to toss $30,000 into it, and I want the ARV to change by $60,000. That tends to be what you guys want. Am I wrong?
No, I want the big ugly houses.
I think you talked, Paul, I think it was on Wednesday, you talked Flora into the big ugly houses, like the major rehabs. I talked to her on Thursday and she's like, yeah, no, I want the ugly ones now. Yeah. So nice. Well, yeah, what's going on? What's going on, guys?
Is it that like the deal with Brooke didn't work out for you? So like Brooke is doing it himself now?
Brooks, are you willing to talk about what's going on in that deal? He and I just got off the phone like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, so I mean, Nick and I have a good enough relationship now to where he can see every lead and deal that we have coming through. So in a lot of those, he shoots out to you guys in Olim that he thinks could potentially make sense for somebody over there. Some of them he doesn't, just because some leads just don't make sense for anybody and they're just dead leads. But we've got a good enough relationship now to where, hey, I'm open and honest with them. I'm like, hey, I have it under contract for 81. Let me know if like we're close here, and you tell me how much wiggle room we have for us to make any money on this. I mean, if the deal's good enough, it's going to be a win-win deal. I get to make some money. Olim gets to make some money. So, I mean, Nick and I are very transparent with each other about everything.
Yeah. And so on this one in particular, Brooks called, he's trying to make sure it continues to stay locked up. He knows that my buying process is that I'm not willing to commit to anything. Like I'm not willing to put, pen to paper until Paul walks that house. Once Paul walks the house, like now I'm willing to get under contract if I have an inspection contingency. It's a little bit harder to do that in a wholesale type of situation. So until Paul walks that house, I'm not willing to like put my name on anything. I told him, hey, we were being pretty conservative with our numbers, and we think $100,000 gets the deal done. And Paul felt really good about the $100,000 number. But if he walks it and tells me it's 140, then we won't end up buying it because it just won't make sense for us. So that was the conversation Brooks and I had is, hey, I've got to get Paul through there before I'm willing to commit. But like we're feeling very good about the number and where we're at today.
How about the inspection? I mean, when would you do the inspection then?
So that was kind of the thing I was talking about with Brooks, is trying to get it scheduled in this situation to help him out, given that he's got kind of an ornery seller. I'm going to try and do the inspection at the same time Paul walks it.
Yeah, this
Or
is kind
darn
of
near it.
this is kind of a special case because the seller on my end is we want to close in 2 weeks, and they're trying to pull out of the contract because they have other offers that will close on next Friday. So this is kind of a different scenario. That's why we've kind of been on the phone today about it.
But yeah, I usually, even with wholesalers, will still get a 7-day inspection window so that I can get an inspector through. I just know that Brooks might lose this deal if he's required to have an inspection window. So I'm just trying to speed it up. I'm willing to put at risk the cost of the inspection in order to just get everything resolved right away.
Yeah, just I asked because I think with Paul working, I mean, it doesn't solve the sewer line problem, like stuff like that. So I guess like it's like
Paul, do I need to buy you a sewer scope? Do you want a sewer scope?
No.
Yeah, so I guess it's the three thing happening at the same time, like pole walk and then break walk and then like the sewers inspection. It's like this all three thing down, then you would be under put your name on it, basically.
Yeah. There's very few times where I will go through and put my name on it before I have an inspection. There have been a couple times where we've done it, and I've gotten bitten a couple of times. But it's you do it in a situation where you've got so much fat on the deal that even if a main line is out, it can still make sense. And so then the way I go and do my and Paul can attest to this, I literally asked a question like this: is all right, what do you think the chances are that the sewer is bad? He's like, I think it's 50-50. I was like, all right, we're gonna lose the deal if we don't, if we go get an inspection. So we're not gonna be able to get that done. How much is it gonna cost for us to do the main line at that spot where we think we have an issue? If it is bad, and I think he said like $6,000 or $7,000. So I said, all right, so my expected outcome in this scenario is a $3,500 expense. It's either $0 or $7,000, but I calculated it out from a probability perspective as a $3,500 expense because it was 50-50 one way or another. And so I just built that $3,500 into my numbers as an expected outcome. It didn't end up hitting us, I don't think, on that one, if I remember correctly. And actually that's Kitley. We don't know if that one hit us yet. We'll find out. But that's kind of the way I go about my decision making. If there's so much fat on a deal that I can take the hit, even if there is a problem.
I mean, I wonder why would you think that way? Because if you're already getting a sewer scope checked, I mean, wouldn't you already know for sure whether there's a cost or not?
You do know if there's a clog, you don't know if there's a collapsed line.
Oh, I see.
And so usually unfortunately, the way to figure it out is you have to go jet it and then send somebody back out to let you know what the condition is. We couldn't get that done before close. And so we needed to make a decision of, do we think it's clogged or do we think it's collapsed? And so I did kind of the expected outcomes, and I was okay with either expected outcome of collapsed or not collapsed. I obviously prefer not collapsed.
Yeah, so when you say like the $7,000, so this is the worst case scenario, right? It couldn't get higher than that.
Correct. Because we knew where the blockage was on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know for your other deals, there is a chance, like there's a time you put like $10,000 or more into the sewer scope thing, right?
That there are a lot of factors that go into how much a sewer scope costs, or a new sewer line cost. One is the distance, another is the depth. So we knew the distance at which, how far it was from the house. So you only are responsible from the house to the street, essentially. And so we knew that this part was pretty close to the street. So it wasn't that big a deal if we had to dig it out. Like, it was pretty far down the line that there was an issue. So even if we had to replace that part, we didn't have to replace the whole thing. We just had to replace that last section.
Is there a chance that it's a section that city is responsible for?
Yes, great question. And so the reason I say that, and I get kind of excited, is Paul knows how much. So whenever my property manager calls me now, I don't say hi. I don't say, how you doing? Like, what's going on? I just answer the phone with how much. And so my property manager said 6,000. And I was like, oh shit. So 6,000. So one of my houses, 7549 East 10th. I know Brooks is familiar with that one. That one had a sewage blockage. And so we'd gone out, we jetted it a couple times. And so we needed to go out there and do some digging. I called Paul. I said, hey, I know how busy your guys are. I got a quote for 6. Is that reasonable? Like, are we even close? Because if it's close, we're just gonna do it. I'm not gonna to optimize for price. And so he's like, yeah. So I was like, all right, let's get it done. We're gonna optimize for getting it done quickly. And they did it. It was at 110 feet from the house. What they found out once they did it is that was on the city. So I didn't actually incur that cost. The city incurred that cost, and I made out like a bandit.
Wait, so you realize this is the city's issue, then like, what do? Do you call the city and have them to fix it?
The licensed plumber calls the city and charges them instead of you.
Oh, you can just bill the city? That's so cool.
The plumber can.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that's actually a reason why it was a good thing I didn't use Paul, because it would have been so much overhead for them, for his contractors to deal with that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's funny how that can work out sometimes. So that $6,000 call ended up being a $0 call, which I love when that happens. That never happens to me. It's always expensive when they call me.
wow.
Yeah. But it was a fantastic question. I love when that happens. We actually had that at a house where we were convinced 100% that it was going to be on the city for this one sewer line, and they wouldn't cover it.
I asked because I think one time I see in the Facebook group that a person is saying, yeah, something's wrong. It's on the city, but the city it takes them forever to come and fix it. Do you experience this at all, where we can just get a plumber and have them charge the city directly, so no city people need to come?
So the smaller contractors are probably going to struggle to go and wait on the city to pay them out. So if you go with, again, somebody like one of the advantages of using somebody like one of Paul's crews is that they're smaller, they tend to be a little bit more affordable. There also means they don't have as much overhead, and so you can get better pricing. The downsides are that they don't have necessarily the same infrastructure. The people that did my house are Roto-Rooter. And obviously, big company, tons and tons of them out there. They have the administrative ability to go out and build the city. You're right. The city's going to be slow, but it's going to be it's going to be Roto-Rooter's problem in this scenario.
Oh, wow. This is so incredible. Thanks for sharing it.
But if you used a smaller guy, there could be a situation where that smaller guy is really in a hard spot, because $6,000 bill, it probably costs them $4,000 to do the job. Again, I'm making up a number, but let's say it's $4,000 to do the job. For a smaller guy, that could be a huge hit to their income. And so they might actually need your help to front that capital in order for them to continue to do work with you until the city can come back.
Right. Yeah, if you guys have questions, go ahead. If not, I have a bunch more.
Yeah, keep going.
So this morning, Paul and I were talking about like one of your Noblesville properties that like was doing construction like for a year long. Like, can you do you mind sharing some insight behind it and why it would take longer?
So that was a project where there were a couple of contractors that were working together at one point in time. And Paul, let me know if I misstate any of the story. I think it was either Christmas or like Thanksgiving timeframe. That it was Thanksgiving timeframe. Or maybe it was actually September. It was. I remember because I was walking around South Pasadena when we were having all these conversations, and so we had these. Started. It was a big ass project. It was bigger than we even knew before we started. So that was a big piece of it. It was an $80,000 project that turned into a $140,000 project. Really unfortunate the way that happened. So that was the first thing, is that the scope changed substantially once we realized just how bad that foundation was. We didn't necessarily know when we initially started the project. Miss on our part, huge learning opportunity for us. Still going to be a win, but huge learning opportunity. Second thing that happened is there were two contractors that were working together to do this project. And they were doing a bunch of projects together, and they had a falling out. And I actually don't know who was right, who was wrong, if one of them stole from the other. not my problem. But
Mhm.
I was paying these contractors to do this work, and the work stopped for a long point in time because the one that didn't leave said the other one stole money, and so then he didn't have the money to do the project. And he said he had stolen more than just the money from my project, stolen other stuff, stolen equipment, all that jazz. Again, doesn't matter. I don't care whose fault it was, but the two of them had a falling out, and so that basically put us that breakup alone probably cost us 3 or 4 months of stalled work and not getting enough labor on the job, because that the contractor that was then responsible for it, the one that didn't leave, he needed to go make money. And so he wasn't putting 100% of his force behind my project. He was definitely putting force behind other projects that he thought he could go make some more money on in order to fund my project. Paul, did I misstate any of that, or did I do a decent job of summarizing?
No, you did awesome. And I think the part where Flora was asking, obviously we have taken a little bit longer on her job, as more than we wanted to. And obviously it's a concern because time is money for you guys. But it was one of those things where 11th Street probably could have got done a little faster, but I was also very picky with it.
Good call
I don't
out.
like it. Change it. This is not what I want. Change it. And although I'm sure Nick was fuming at the ears as I'm going, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. The bottom line is at the end of, how much quality can I get out of these people, because at the end of the day, Nick's already lost money. So now it's my job to make sure that he gets as much money back as possible out of this. And he can't do that if not only the project doesn't look good, but it's one of those things. It's unfortunate, but it happens. And the longer it takes to do a project, and we were just talking about this this morning, then you start looking at all the bad little things. Everything starts showing up. So you get more time to look at it. I don't like it. Change it. I don't like it. Change it. And I think that's why she asked that question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the reasons why 3 things. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah. There are 3 things when you're working with a contractor, and you get to choose 2 of them. Unfortunately, you can't get all 3. You can try to improve the last one, but you're not gonna optimize for it. It's quality, speed, or cost. And I'll even be honest with you. We've gotten a lot better at the speed side. Paul has, I would say, in the last 6 months, has kind of been really good about speeding up some of our projects. There was a project, and he can attest to it, that we actually just hit the market 2 days ago, 5546 South Concord. That one probably hit the market, 2 weeks later than we wanted to? 3 weeks later than we wanted to, because we stopped, and we had too many deals hit the market that weren't up to our quality. And there were little things that were just kind of like sand in the shoe, or like a little pebble in the shoe of buyers that kept them from offering on other deals. And so we said, hey, we're gonna have this thing be perfect. We're not optimizing for speed, we're optimizing for perfect, so that this thing gets us exactly what we need, whether that's an appraisal, whether that's a perfect first showing, a perfect first weekend of showings. Like, that's what we decided to optimize for.
Wow, Nick, the story is totally not what I expected. I thought like the project took long because first it's big, then there's permit. But oh my God.
There were permits too. Oh yeah, no, permits were an issue. I forgot about that. Permits were definitely an issue. And part of the problem was, yeah, we got delayed by 2 months based on permits because, and part of the problem was that the contractor that left was the one who applied for the permits. And so then they were under his contractor, ID or whatever, versus the contractor who's still on. Oh my God, it was an absolute clusterfuck. Everything went, pardon my French, everything went wrong on that deal. And but at the end of it, Paul was being a dick, and I appreciate that. He was being an advocate to make sure like he's like, hey, it's not ready. I need another 2 weeks. It's not ready. Like I was like, it's been a year. Come on, like yeah, let it be ready. But he's like, it's not ready. We're not going to compromise the quality when we're so close to the finish line.
Oh, okay. I mean, for the scope of work, it's a huge change from 80K to 140K, you're saying? Because of the foundation? Like, what would you do differently now to avoid something like this from happening again?
Great question. Biggest one, Paul didn't walk that property before we bought it. I had another contractor walk it who no longer works with us. Paul didn't walk that one. So I wouldn't have bought that house with any type of big scope of work, with any, like there are certain contractors who, if it's a $30,000-$40,000 scope of work, I'd let them walk it instead of Paul. No question. Like we trust that they could get it right. I wouldn't let, on a property that big and a project that big, anybody walk it unless other than Paul, because I trust his eye for detail. That's the biggest thing I missed.
Since it's a foundation issue, like Paul, would you able to tell the difference? I saw like we rather have a structural engineer to look at it.
It really just depends on how bad it was. You know, we trust enough in our crews that they can handle, you know, by pulling permits. And we did have to pull permits, you know, to take care of that. But if the situation warrants a structural engineer to come out and look at it, and if we have the time to do that, most certainly we will. But for the most part, you know, our crews can tell us right away what we need to get done and so forth. But just to give you an idea, this house basically got lifted off the foundation.
Paul would have stopped the entire process in this situation if he had walked it, and it wouldn't have been done with Paul walking it. Paul would have said, Nick, don't be a dumbass. Get a structural engineer out here to take a look at this, to get a quote just for that piece. Nick was a dumbass on that one.
I see. Good.
I just trusted one guy's quote, and Paul wouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah.
But again, I would, if it was a lipstick on a pig situation, if it was just a simple rewire of a house, you know, simple rewire, maybe a little plumbing and flooring and paint, and maybe a kitchen, I would say somebody other than Paul could walk it and put together a scope. But when you're talking about the big stuff, when you're talking about roof lines, when you're talking about structural stuff of the house, getting somebody there who actually knows what the heck he's doing and knows the extent of his knowledge and when he needs to bring somebody else in, that's really, really valuable. Whether that's Paul, whether that's anybody else, but getting somebody who's willing to tell you, hey, I'm not the expert, is big.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Paul, you're just essential here, you see.
You're more
so
than
like,
welcome. I'm sorry. You're more than welcome to go to the channel. And there's, I don't know if you guys are, you know,
they don't have access to that side of the house.
They don't. Okay, so, but you can go look at it on Zillow or whatnot. You can see the difference that how nice this house looks now.
We'll do some before and after photos because it is truly lovely. So I'm putting that on Lauren in Virginia. They'll throw that together for me, hopefully. Yes, Paul is essential to my personal business. Paul and I a year ago when I quit my job, I think he was working on maybe 1 or 2 projects. I had definitely worked on one. I don't think he had started his second yet, or it was like just starting his second. And yeah, I saw the difference in quality. There are so many crappy contractors out there, so many bad ones, and I've worked with, I think, every single one of them and been screwed by every single one of them here in Indianapolis. And I just saw the difference. And so, yeah, I brought Paul in to protect me. I wasn't planning on doing any type of project management business. Like that wasn't the intention at all. Paul, did we even talk about that when you came on board? No, like it was literally just like, hey, I need you to be my eyes because I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. And And then other people were like, hey, can Paul help me too? And so that's how we started that side of the business. But it was totally unintentional. And so we're still learning like how to do that effectively. We're continuing to add things on that side of the business, like where we do the videos now every single week to make sure people like feel good about it, putting the office hours in there so that people get multiple touch points on a weekly basis, just trying to figure out that side of the business. Also trying to figure out, by the way, if anybody knows a good marketing intern that's in college right now, I need somebody who can help us with marketing, because looking to start working on advertising that side of the house. I want Paul to be a multi-billionaire here by the time he retires.
Wow, Nick, you had me start to worry since Paul is so essential. Like, so what do you think for on the construction side, what is our capability now?
What do you mean by that?
Like how many projects can happen in parallel?
Yeah. Funny enough, that's a question that I think I need to ask Paul on a weekly basis. And the reason I say that is contractors go bad. Contractors have an expiration date, unfortunately. I hope it doesn't happen with several of the ones that we have right now. But every single contractor that I've experienced is good for a while and then drops off after a certain amount of time. They get greedy, whatever that, whatever ends up happening. And so right now, Paul, let me know if I'm misspeaking. I think our number is about 12 to 15 projects that they can manage at one point in time, given all the crews you're talking about. 17 projects at one point in time. I think 17, he might be being a little bit generous and aggressive with those numbers. But I'd say it's somewhere between 12 and 17 is a reasonable number so that the quality doesn't suffer.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mila.
Guys, if you have such incredible demand and reputation, and there is, huge demand from all the investors coming, did you think of opening your own construction company under off leash somehow? You have like property managers as well, right? You have like your construction guys.
I don't want to do property management. I do not want to do property management.
How about construction? Do you want to create a construction company?
So Paul, do you want to talk about the arguments we've had over the years, or over the year that we've been working together?
I'll let you have them.
All right. So I told Paul from the start, I was like, hey, I think we need to start bringing some in-house construction just to control the quality, control the pricing a little bit. And he disagreed with me. He's like, you don't want to deal with the overhead. Like it's a pain in the butt. And then he had to manage contractors. He had to kind of do my job for a little while. And he's like, oh shoot, like you're right. Contractors suck. No. So we've gone back and forth a lot about that. And so do we want to do our own contracting? I think we probably do. But I don't know if we necessarily want to do it externally from a contracting perspective. And the reason for that is there's so much more liability when, Mila, you contract with off-leash construction and, we're the contractor on the project. If something goes wrong in that house, we carry that liability and there's a ton of risk on that. If something goes wrong, the material fails, it falls on us. Now, would we do it on our own properties? Probably. But I think continuing to expand our network of contractors that we work with, potentially getting people working underneath Paul long term that are junior Pauls or something like that, they can handle more stuff and across more contractors. And then we could shift the liability from off-leash construction to the contractor that is actually doing the work. We can manage, we can be your eyes, we can be your advocate, but letting them carry that liability has a ton of value. Even if we're missing out on the revenue opportunity, I think it potentially has value there. Paul, did I misspeak there at all? Or any
management, like if you charge your customer like a project manager fee with like, hey, here's the advice, we have multiple Pauls. Paul will create clones of you, okay, if it's okay with you, or you train little Pauls. So all these Pauls are coming and they're saying, okay, I feel that, project management, you create a SOW and everything, but yeah, so you can still sell this service, right?
Yeah, and that's the thought process.
It wouldn't be any liability for you.
Exactly. You're absolutely nailing it. I want the liability to sit with the contractor, not on like my ability to feed my child. Like there are enough bad contractors out there. There are enough bad laborers. I'll let them take that one on, and I don't want Paul to have to carry that as well. There are times where I ask Paul to still be a contractor every once in a while, but I try to let him be a project manager at least 95% of the time.
Nick, I think the 17 capacity, wouldn't it get full really fast? I mean, like just with your student, I think we can take it
Hey,
up.
Paul, how many months do you think on average each one of those projects should last?
Honestly, we are getting him down to
Now this is an average, Flora. We're not talking about
Right.
rebuilding a burned down house.
right. So let's get that. Thank you. I would like to see every project between 4 to 6 weeks. That's
So let's say 2 months. 2 months all included. So 17, what is that? 17, I'm bad at math. So 17 times 6, because you get 6 turns. So that's 102 projects a year. You're right. That's not enough. That's not enough. So then what that tells me, and I need to continue to grow things, is I need to help Paul find more junior Pauls. I need to help us find more contractors. But yeah, that means we can do 100 projects a year. I'm going to take up 50 of those minimum. I'm going to take up 50. And so that only actually leaves 50 projects that we can sell.
Right, and just thinking out of my head, like a few of us we're doing, let's say I'm aiming for doing 3 projects at the same time at a time. So I mean it can just really eat up really fast.
Well, so keep in mind, Flora, when we started this a year ago, we could do like 5 at a time.
Right, yeah.
So the growth will come as the projects come, you know. The rotation of contractors is constant. Like we're always talking to contractors before we even need them anymore. We're not waiting until oh, one goes bad, boom, project stops because we got to go find it. We always have one in the back pocket. And the other thing is that there are contractors that I would use on one job that I would not use on other jobs, right? So if we're going in
46218.
if we're going in and we are doing a facelift, you're not going to get the guys, the big kahunas in the bunch. You're going to get some guy that can paint and still does a nice job, but he's not going to be able to do electrical. He's not going to be able to do plumbing, but he's going to be the handyman, right? You're not going to the guy who's going to fix up the house. Now we're in a position where if we need to lift a house off the foundation, we've got it. A perfect example, Sugar Grove. We brought in a new crew. We honestly went in with my fingers crossed, hoping, Nick let me really walk the plank here. And so with that said, we came out and turned that house in 4.5 weeks.
I see.
Wait, that was 100K rehab, or it was a different Sugar? Oh,
That was like 90 or 100, right?
It was very, very close to 100.
It's 1844 Sugar Grove, if you want to look it up.
I remember this.
By the way, Nick, I think we're not supposed to say address on YouTube,
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because I watched some wholesalers video and this is the address and always get blocked out.
I'm not trying to be overly like in these videos. I'm not trying to be an influencer. They can suppress me on this one. I'm gonna hire, like I said, that marketing intern that can hopefully come in and help us cut some stuff up, and we'll cut out addresses, but for different stuff. But yeah.
Okay, I have a bunch of other questions. Maybe you guys.
Go for it. And you got Paul here, dude. Like, how often do we get Paul for open office hours, man? This is like a special treat.
I have a couple questions too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the
go
way,
ahead.
but before you guys start, fallen soldier.
Oh,
I know, but
That's
hey, at
terrible.
least I get to keep the top. I get to keep the top. That's what matters.
you're way ahead of me.
No, go ahead, Nula.
Yeah. So it was a really great conversation with John this
Yeah.
afternoon. I really
I
liked
don't
a lot
agree
of
with
the
everything he said, by the way.
Yes, but there are a lot of good tips that he shared.
I agree.
We're all different,
100%.
but like, advice is that don't be emotional when you buy houses, trust your numbers and kind of validate the numbers, validate people before you do something. But definitely we're all different in any case. So he touched this point about tenant estoppel, right? My question, did you
Yeah.
ever ask, and how are sellers willing to provide this information, or tenants provide information?
Yeah, I've done it in the past. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I haven't done it religiously, and it probably should be something we add to our list. Most of the things we buy, though, are not tenanted. I would say 90% of the properties we buy are not tenanted, and so it's kind of a non-issue because there's going to be no tenant by the time we close. In those situations where there is a tenant when we close, I actually think it's a really good idea. It's a trust but verify type of situation. The things you want to validate: the rental rate, the end of the rent rate. Even if you have a lease, like, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't faked a lease before. Not to sell a property, but maybe to refinance. Like, I might have faked a lease being done a little bit earlier than it was supposed to in order to get a DSCR loan across. Never with IUCU, in case they ever watch this video, with previous lenders. It was in a dumber time, but yeah, validating all that information is a good idea. And yeah, finding out, hey, has this guy been a slumlord? Have they been deferring maintenance for the last 6 months? That's a really good idea to ask those questions. Now, I tend to believe my inspector and my contractor a whole lot more than I believe a tenant. So if my contractors walked it, if my inspectors walked it, and they're just bitching about a bunch of little stuff, I'll probably ignore that. But I might use it also in those situations as part of my negotiation tactics. Like, oh, hey, like, the seller says you're kind of a slumlord. Like, do you want to give me an extra $500 off to go fix these things? Yeah, no, that was a really good suggestion. I didn't agree with everything he said, but in that one in particular, I thought was a smart one. And that's why I just let him talk. I didn't even say a word because I was like, oh, that's genius. Let's do that more often. I'm generally not a fan, though, of inheriting tenants. And the reason I say that is different situation if you're buying a portfolio, because that's buying more of a business than it is buying a single property. But if somebody's selling a single property, and I'm saying this because I know Brooks is buying a portfolio here in the not too distant future. So maybe I'm just couching this in a conversation here. But if somebody's selling a single property that's like good enough for you, why are they selling it if it's performing that well? Like, there's more to the story if somebody's selling you like a duplex or something like that that's tenanted and performing. That's why I tend to prefer buying vacant, even like a duplex. If I was to buy a duplex today, I'd probably buy it vacant, make it nicer, and then put better tenants in there. There's always going to be something wrong. When you inherit a single tenant, somebody knows something about that situation.
Nick, what do you think about the month-to-month tenants? Like, if we got that, what is the earliest time we can get the tenant out for the rehab?
I wouldn't inherit a month-to-month tenant. If I believed that I could raise the rents, I would not inherit a month-to-month tenant. I would buy it vacant.
Why not?
Because I don't want to deal with getting it vacant. I'm going to make the seller own that responsibility. It's a pain in the ass to get a tenant out. And so I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
And that's a totally a case by case situation. When I say that, I fundamentally believe it's a pain in the ass to get a tenant out. Now, I'm willing to let them pay for me to take that pain in the ass. So if they're willing to give me a discount to deal with a pain in the ass tenant, absolutely, I will do it. They want to give me like something that's $10,000 under market to evict somebody, and I already know I got to do a full gut on this thing anyway. I got to let Paul go nuts on it and spend all the money, which he likes to do. Then I'm gonna just I'll take that problem. But if you know it's a situation where I'm not getting a discount for taking on the pain in the ass, absolutely not.
I see. Since
It also depends, actually. The one last thing I'll say there is if this is a month-to-month tenant that you want to keep, like, hey, it's a $1,500 rent. You think the market rate's $1,600. You're not really having a huge opportunity to change the value that much, and you want to keep this person. I might ask them to re-sign that lease during that inspection period, during the close, to get it re-signed before I close, if I want to keep them.
right.
Totally depends on the outcome, the desired outcome. Yeah, go for it, Mila.
I have a second and random question, somehow related to Flora, because this reflection was after you posted the video about the guy who's wholesaler and who was calling all the listing agent and who was asking to represent him. So the listing agent could get a double commission from the buyer and the seller. My question, is it really happening? Like, what is the percentage seller agent doing this? Like,
I apologize. Can you restate the question? I'm having a hard time
Yeah,
wrapping my brain
sure.
around it.
Yeah, so Flora posted a YouTube video from a guy who's a wholesaler guy, and he has his real estate agent, right?
Mila, maybe I can outline the story here.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
it's not about the video, it's about us not using a buyer agent and go directly to the listing agent, asking this person to be our dual agent. Like Mila is asking how often this could happen.
So I'm not a real
Because
estate agent, so I can't speak intelligently to this. Brooks actually is a real estate agent. Brooks, are you willing to talk at all about if that's something that's common?
What if somebody will go right to a listing agent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and ask them to represent and dual side it.
It happens. It does happen.
how often, to percentage? Like the buyers from the street cannot submit, like they submit the offer nowhere because the seller agent is interested only to go with that person. That's the question.
You mean they're just basically
Yeah,
making
so-
an offer without being represented?
Yeah, no,
No,
correct.
I think
So
what
let's
she's
say-
saying is her concern is that a seller's agent might not consider an offer from a represented buyer because they're
yes.
waiting on
The seller
a
will never
unrepresented
receive the
buyer.
offer, so the seller will not receive my offer. Like we submitted with my buyer's agent, but it will never reach the seller because it
Yeah,
happens so often. That's the, is it
That
reality?
would be illegal, right?
It's illegal. You have to, any offer you have to take to your seller.
But I mean, the
Um,
seller wouldn't know in
Yeah,
the
no,
situation. If
you're-
they have
you're
an
right.
arrangement, if the seller.
You're not wrong, but technically it is illegal to do that.
So Brooks, if I perceived for whatever reason you're listing a property,
Mhm.
and I know, so hopefully I don't get you in trouble by announcing this. Brooks now works with Matlock Realty as one of their agents. Is that an allowed thing to say?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So you work for Matlock Realty. I think you are listing a property. I come to you with Cindy Ballot as my agent, who is not a member of Matlock Realty. And you've listed the property. I put an offer in with Cindy. If I believe that you aren't passing that on to my to the seller, what are my repercussions or what are my next steps if that's the case?
The best thing to do you'd have to put in a complaint with the board of realtors.
Okay,
Or
so-
with my
I
board.
mean, so my issue, I've been putting offers for about 4 months in a row, constantly. And I've not received a response. When I checked the price, it is listed, it was sold below what I was offering. And it was not a cash offer, it was conventional.
Mhm.
So I mean, there were different cases, right? There were cash and there were, but if there is a pattern of all this, facts that then I'm not getting the reason. And when asked for feedback, where did we perform worse? The agent tells that the listing agent never get back to us.
Okay.
Radio
So if
silence,
that's
it.
happening, Brooke,
So
And
you,
it's happened so many times, like I don't have a track of it. I
you-
can put all the offers together, but there will be multiple listing agents, multiple seller agents,
yeah,
and they're different geographies as well.
so what is
So-
the factor that isn't changing in this situation?
so.
The factor that I'm not selected, yeah,
No.
it would be.
No, who's the player in this situation that's in these conversations that isn't changing?
Buyer's agent.
Buyer's agent.
There you go.
He needs to go to the seller's agent and get that the offer that you sent back to them saying that they rejected the offer, so they have some kind of evidence showing that they presented the offer. Whether they, I mean, as well as I do, it would be hard to prove whether they did or not. But if they get caught doing that, that's major repercussions.
If Mila, the point I'm making, there's two potential outcomes that are occurring here,
And technically,
as I see it.
the seller has to DocuSign or sign that too, saying they rejected the offer. So you should have some kind of evidence.
It could
Sure.
expire though. It could expire without them signing it.
It can, but it's good practice to still send it back as rejected if you're planning to reject it.
I'll be honest, as a seller, I sign nothing that I don't sign rejections. I just don't sign. But so
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
I don't follow best practice clearly for so many reasons. But
That's not on you. That's on the agent.
Yeah. So Mila, I see there are two potential things that are happening here. One is something illegal is happening, and your agent isn't advocating for you in this situation. Two, they're not getting a response, and your agent isn't being aggressive enough in getting your offers accepted or rejected, one way or another. So there are two potential outcomes. Neither one of them is an indication that your agent is giving you the level of service that I think you need. And I don't necessarily think that means you fire your agent tomorrow. What I think that means is you test out another agent and see. Well, you ask the question, you test out another agent on your next offer and see if things play a little differently.
Or
Is that an unreasonable? But Brooks, how pissed would you be if you were unsuccessful with Mila for 6 months and then or 4 months and then she went to somebody else because you guys just weren't hitting it off and you guys weren't being successful?
I mean, if she's bringing to me like this is what she's thinking, they're not even getting presented, then I need to be asking the questions to the agents, just trying to dig out of them if they actually presented the offer. But I mean, if I'm not doing my job on that side and I'm just submitting offers and not trying to advocate for you at all, yeah, I mean, if I'm on your side of the deal, I'm going to test out somebody else to see if I get better results.
This is what I
But
did.
that
Okay,
agent
last 2 weeks.
needs to really dig into the listing agent and see.
Is this Florida or Indy?
Both.
both.
Sounds like you need some new agents.
I mean, or you can just, reach out to the
Or
listing.
it's just a bad luck. I spoiled my karma for some reason.
Well, no, and I'll say
That's
we're
okay.
actually on a cold streak right now from a deals perspective. We haven't bought anything in probably 4 weeks, Lauren? 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
And we make an offer every day, at least an offer every day, or at least like hey, this is where we're kind of at from a numbers perspective. Let us know if you want us to walk it. So we're on a cold streak right now. So it also could just be we're in a really weird market condition right now, guys, where there's no inventory out there, but also the cost of capital has gotten so expensive. And so there's kind of like a deadlock that's occurred right now where neither side's really willing to give in. And so it also could very well be bad luck right now. But not getting a rejection and seeing things sell below your asking price is an indication to me that things aren't happening properly. There's an inefficiency here in this system. There's a little grinding of the gears that's occurring.
You know, it might not be a bad idea for you, like if you lose another one of these for under whatever you offered, just to reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, if I were to offer this before you accepted that offer, would you have taken it? And if they say yes, say, well, we submitted an offer for that. What happened with it?
So
I mean,
resubmit
there's nothing
after-
saying you can't do that, you know?
So resubmit after it was sold already? Because I would know the sales price only after it was sold. It's published in Zillow, right? I don't have any other resource, so.
You also have the pending date on there as well. As
Yes,
something
I do
as
see
a,
that, yes. So I can
So if
check that
you
if it was
submitted
really
before.
conventional or it was cash. So I can
Yeah.
compare, you know. Yeah, I do this analytics as well.
I don't think what you brought up is a widespread problem with regards to people only being willing to or agents only being willing to accept offers that are double-sided. If that was a widespread problem, that would be reported pretty widely, and a lot of people would be losing their licenses very, very quickly. That doesn't mean though there's not a problem with what's happening, and I think it's a level of aggression in your agent. Let me tell you, with our agent, when we list a property for sale, anybody who walks that property, my agent calls them obsessively until he gets feedback on that walk. My agent, we put an offer in today. He will call that agent every single day until that offer gets rejected.
And if it
You'll
gets
be a
rejected,
dick.
he'll ask why it was rejected.
Exactly. And it's like, he'll try and figure out how to make the deal happen. So yeah, I think there is a problem occurring. I don't think it's the problem you think is occurring.
Okay, I feel better that it's not
Okay.
commonly used thing in practice. If it's like one of thing, that's fine.
My wife is 9.5 months pregnant and she is out here mopping.
Tell her to stop mopping. She doesn't need to mop for who's coming over.
Yeah, no, nobody likes who's coming over. By the way, Brooks is definitely Brooks and his family are definitely coming over, and she's mopping.
So
Yeah, go
Since
for it, Flora.
all of you are here, so I want to show you guys a house if you don't mind.
Hmm.
Paul, you're up.
Okay. So I'm looking at this one. I wonder, do you guys think this is too ugly? Because it's looking.
No, is it
No.
burnt?
Huh?
All right, I will say it's too ugly at that price.
Yeah, way too ugly at that price.
Guys,
Yeah.
you're killing me.
It's
Well-
got fire.
Hmm?
That was like a firehouse.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
A firehouse?
This 3-2 bath could be something special.
Oh, it has a pending offer. Look at this.
Yeah, it's in a good neighborhood, I guess.
How long was it on the market?
Maybe one day.
2
I just-
days.
I just checked yesterday. Yeah, I see. I was just-
Jesus Christ. All right.
Inventory is low, Nick. I agree.
So what? No, let's pull that back up. So Lauren, what would you do? What would your next step be on this one? If you saw this one and it was listed, it wasn't off the market.
It wasn't off the market,
Yeah, if it was available.
I'd be running the comps to see what the ARV was on this property. And then I would be thinking, obviously, that this is a total gut job. So then I would also be questioning the need for permits, depending on if we could get an aerial view of that to see if the roof is destroyed in any way. I can't see if we can see anything like that. Because that would play into how much we offered as well in our timeline and seeing if we could even do it. And then once I looked at the ARVs, then I would be what offer price makes sense. And I would promise you at this point that it's not 100,000, but
So-
I would.
Flora, can you click on the mid left left photo? Yeah, that one.
That's the
What
front-
is that on the roof, Paul?
It's a tarp.
okay.
Okay.
So
I
you
mean,
need some permits.
this looks like it was on fire.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, like, it's so, I mean, at that point, you need to see if like the structure is even viable. I mean,
Yeah. This might be a leveling project, Flora. This might be you just have to get rid of the house and build a new house on top of it, off of the
So,
ground.
so Flora, yeah, exactly. Here are the steps that we would take in order to evaluate this. This one might be on the edge of too ugly at the price point. And the reason I say that is you have to go look at what, hey, if we fix it up, it's going to be worth, and I'm going to make up a number, $300,000.
Mhm.
How much is it going to cost to go? And you're going to go look at those $300,000 comps. You're going to be like, all right, how much is it going to cost to get to that same level of quality? Because a $300,000 house is very different than a $150,000 house, even at the same size. Like the level of finish is generally a little bit different. So you're going to take a look at that. You're going to come up with a scope of work. In this situation, I'm going to be honest with you. This is one that I probably don't come up with a scope of work. I probably look at Paul and I just go, I don't know. Like, what do you think? I've never done one of these. And there could be a very real scenario here where he tells me, like, the structure's dead once he walks it. Like, we have to tear it down. And what's funny in that situation is it's actually worth less than a vacant lot in that situation, because you have to do the cost of the demo, the time of the demo, the permits of the demo. I can't believe this one sold as quick as it did, but I don't know what the comps look like. If you tell me the comps are $400,000, I can understand, because Paul could rebuild that house for what? If I gave you $150,000, Paul, would you be happy?
175, I could rebuild it.
All right, to 175. So if he tells me the comps are 400, then I'm a happy camper at $100,000 potentially. No, I'm not. I'm not thrilled, but we can make it work. So yeah, I think it's one of those. The first step, find the comp. Second step, find the cost to get to that comp, and then evaluate that gap. Similar to how we looked at it the other day on the value add calculator.
Yeah, all I want to understand is how ugly is the tolerant level of work.
I would
Is-
rather have a vacant lot in that
Mhm.
scenario than that house if I had to tear it down.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, you guys have been awesome. Any last questions here before we hop off?
I mean, we can
And I
have
make Brooks go bring me Chinese food?
we can have another hour. But
No, I don't have another hour, but I do have time for another question or two.
I'll let you guys just go next time.
All right. Well, no, I'm going to be honest. There might not be a next time for a little bit. It's going to be like,
There's not. I didn't let Nick out of this one. I said no office hours for April, no public office hours, but exclusive office hours, Nick's picks, all those things are still happening, but no public office hours. We're gonna let Nick snuggle a baby and take care of Diane for April, and then we'll come back in May.
so any other urgent ones, Flora?
Do you guys have a gift registry?
I can send it to you.
Yay.
I'm not gonna send it to you, so I'll send it to you.
You devious one.
You know what? He didn't even give it to me. I found it.
Great job, Lauren. Great job.
That definitely happened. I definitely was hoping she would forget.
I did not forget. No, I actually didn't end up getting him anything on the registry because it was well taken care of. But I picked out a family favorite that we have. But I did find it, so I will send it to you, Mila.
Great, thank you.
And if you guys have any questions while Nick is on his resting period with his beautiful bride.
I'm going to be resting.
Yes. Well, no, but let him think he is, Lauren. He has no children yet. So if you guys have any questions about a house and you want some time, get with Lauren. If Nick's okay with it, if everybody's good, then get with Lauren and we can sit down and take some time and carve out the house.
Same with you, Brooks. I know you've got a million properties coming up. If any properties come up that you think are interesting for the cohort, hit them to Lauren. Lauren and Brett will get them out to everybody.
Yeah, I promise this is my week of figuring out Lazille being gone, Brooks. I promise you I'm back on track. And
Yeah, apologies. We
You're
lost
good.
Lazille 2 weeks early, or like a week and a half early. She went into labor at 38 weeks. And so it was a bit of we were not expecting that.
No, I hadn't had my meeting with her yet about everything that I was going to take over from her. So it was kind of a trial by error. But the baby was born on my birthday, so we both celebrated a birthday.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the baby was born on March 22nd on my birthday, my 30th birthday. So you got a baby.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
okay,
cool.
good. Oh, wait. I definitely had a moment like, oh shit, did I get Lauren a birthday present?
You
We
did.
got it. We got it delivered. Okay.
And so for the record, Dick, as you know, I am pulling for Thursday for Bailey.
Thursday. Thursday's a 6. All right. I
You know
am
that.
It is
I have a
fun.
hard I have a hard aversion to 4-7 and 4-9. I think those are ugly numbers.
Wait, what is the
Any
due
all right,
date? What is the due date?
April 11th is the due date. It's our first
Okay.
kid, so they tend
Okay.
to hit
April 21, and she'll be
21?
overdue. Yes,
My wife
April
will
21st,
die.
she will be overdue. That's my bet.
Wow. Okay, April 21. We got it from Mila. Any
Yep.
other bets here?
I'm going April 14th.
All right, April 14th. I like that date. That's a good number.
18.
I'm still going for the 9th.
All right,
Oh,
you're
no,
going for
sorry.
9.
No,
Did I hear-
I'm going for 6. I'm going for 6.
All right, 6. Flora, you said 18?
Yes.
That's my sister's birthday. Brooks, any bets?
I'm gonna go 9 because I'm a 9 birthday.
All right. It's an ugly number, but that's fine.
It is.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. I am sure I will see all of you here. I'm not going to say I'm sure. I'm fairly confident I will see all of you again here very shortly. But if not, you guys know how to get in contact with the team. Appreciate all you guys, and I will talk to you all real soon. Okay.
I have a great
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Yes.